The Ryco X115R engine protection kit for the Mitsubishi Triton ML and MN and Mitsubishi Challenger PB and PC comes complete with the Ryco Z980K series fuel water separator and RCC 351 series catch can, as well as all of the necessary brackets, fuel lines, hose clamps, and specifically moulded hoses required for a neat install that looks like it could have come this way from the factory. As always, we recommend that the kit is installed by a qualified mechanic with the procedures shown in this instructional video. Start by fitting the fuel mounting bracket within the engine bay. Unclip all of the OEM fuel filter electrical Deutsch connectors from the factory fuel filter bracket and remove the OEM fuel filter housing from the fuel filter bracket by lifting it out of its slot and placing it on the left-hand side of the bracket like so. Next, unscrew these two M8 bolts and put them in a safe place for later, as you'll be using them to fit the Ryco bracket. Now, you'll need to remove the OEM fuel supply hose and hose clamps. Be sure to have a rag ready, as some fuel will spill from the hose and pipe. Start by placing the bracket in its correct location and half screw in two of the OEM M8 bolts saved from the previous steps into the base mounting point, and from there you can fully tighten all of the bolts. Next, you'll need to prepare the Z980K fuel water separator for fitment. You'll need the two blanking plugs supplied with the fuel water separator kit, as well as the two supplied quick connectors. Take note of which ports on the fuel water separator need to be blanked off and which ones require fitting. Then fit them up, ensuring that they are tight. We recommend placing the head into a bench vise to complete this part of the installation. Now it's time to install the fuel water assembly onto the Ryco bracket. Use the two black M10 bolts and washers supplied, making sure both bolts are done up tight. Next, we can prepare the two Ryco fuel hoses. Install the supplied hose clamps and elbow connectors onto each end of the fuel hose as shown, but do not tighten the hose clamps just yet. Starting with the longer Ryco fuel hose, install the open end of the hose onto the vehicle's fuel tank supply pipe and tighten with the supplied hose clamp. Next, connect the Ryco elbow connector to the Z980K inlet quick connector and listen for a click noise. Now, install the open end of the shorter Ryco fuel hose onto the inlet port of the fuel filter housing and tighten with the supplied hose clamp. Route the hose into the position shown and push the quick connector into position, again listening for the click noise. To complete the fuel water separator installation, you'll need to prime the fuel system. Locate the priming button on the top of the factory fuel filter and prime the fuel system by pumping the button repeatedly. Continue pumping until it is hard to press. The priming process could take approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Once you can no longer depress the priming button, turn on the engine and inspect the hose, filter and fittings for any fuel leaks. Now we can move on to the catch can installation. Start by removing the plastic engine cover and the OEM PCV hose as shown. Next, remove the OEM bolt from behind the ABS module. Keep this bolt in a safe place as you'll screw it back onto this thread later on. Next, locate and remove the rear airbox mounting bolt and washer. When fitting the catch can, you'll need to maneuver the bracket around the engine components like so. Ryco recommends first engaging the bracket bottom leg onto the engine stud under the brake pipes. Push the bracket into position on the thread behind the airbox, line up the thread on the firewall and then behind the ABS module. Using the supplied M6 bolt, spring washer and washer, tighten down the airbox mount. Locate the bracket foot behind the brake lines and use the M6 flange nut to secure the bracket. Finally, refit the OEM bolt behind the ABS module. Now you can slot the catch can onto the catch can bracket as shown and rotate to ensure clearance with the engine airbox. We can then begin hose installation, starting with the shorter moulded PCV hose. Install the small end onto the engine PCV port and tighten with the supplied hose clamp. You can now install the other end of the hose onto the lower inlet port of the catch can and fit the hose clamp. Install the other end of the moulded PCV hose onto the air intake PCV port and fit the final hose clamp. Ensure that all of the Ryco supplied moulded hoses aren't squashed or kinked. Install the drain hose, remove the drain plug from the bottom of the catch can, take out the rubber seal from the plug and refit. Install the drain hose and secure it with the supplied clamp. Install the hose drain tap and the other end and use the zip ties to secure the hose. To drain, pull back the red section until all oil has drained out.